Right, so you may want to categorize that. Okay, this job family. This job is a direct labor or indirect labor. Okay, so what does? Such as accountant, supervisor, security guards who do not directly produce goods or services, but who make their production possible or more efficient. They are the ones which are indirect labor, so indirect labor costs are not readily identifiable with a specific task or work order. Is it possible to tell? Okay, how much value a supervisor or a security guard is contributing to the organization? You might say, of course, a security guard's contribution is immense because they are protecting the assets of the organization, right? So it's immense, but can you put a direct number to it? Like, how much does the security guard contribute on a daily basis to the organization? Difficult to put a number right, but can we say that okay, as someone on the shop floor? Who is actually producing goods? How much they are actually working right? We may be able to accurately quantify that. So that is direct labor. But other workers like accountant supervisors, HR management, they are all indirect labor. Okay, then we come to company insider type. Do you know what is a company insider? Have you heard about the term company insider? Like, let's say, you are part of the management or maybe you are the owner of a company, right? So you are part of some discussions which you know will affect the stock price. Like, let's say, your performance, the organization's performance is very bad, right? So if that information comes out in the market, your stock price will crash. Correct. Correct may happen because your performance is very bad. Your organization's performance is quite bad. So once the financial reports of financial statements are made public, then your stock price, will crash. But you have that information, you hold that information to yourself because you are the owner. So now what you do? You manipulate your market somehow. Right, and you sell off your stocks and then you publish the news. Then what happens? You minimize your loss because even before the stock has crashed, you have sold all your shares. Now, is that legal? Is that fair? Not fair, right? Not fair, because you had that information. So you used it to your advantage. Remember the famous, or the infamous, I should say, case about Roger Gupta. He used to be the head of Goldman Sachs. Yes, right. He's now behind bars because of this insider trading scandal that he did when he was the CEO of Goldman Sachs. So what happened was, he came out of a board meeting where they were discussing the acquisition of a major company, and then he called up his friend, a stockbroker, and he said that, okay, this is what is going to happen. So you buy the stocks of the other company that Goldman Sachs is going to acquire. So this friend of I think his name was Raja Ramana. He was a trader. So what he did was he bought the stocks of this other company that Goldman Sachs was about to acquire. And then what happened? Eventually, the news came out in the market that Goldman Sachs is going to acquire, and the stock price of that other company quickly increased. Right, it became. It went up like anything. And then, when it went up a lot, then Raja Ramana sold all the shares and made around $100 million in profit. Right, and he gave some money to Roger Gupta as well for the insider information. Now, Then people got to know about it, and then they had a long investigation and in court case, and then eventually both of them were convicted. Like Roger Gupta, and as well as Raja Ramana was convicted. So insider trading is not allowed? Right, it is not allowed, but still people do it. You will still do it, but it is absolutely not allowed. So, in coming back to our discussion, in the job profile you can mention if this job profile is going to have insider information, right? Okay. So now, this is a CEO, isn't it? So we will say that. Yeah, this is the CEO, is also part of the board of directors, so definitely. He is going to have insider information, right, or maybe it's also he's an officer. He's an officer with some special information. So he has that information, right? So we have to specify that we may specify that up front that this is an insider kind of job. So whoever is coming to this job profile, they would know that you are not supposed to divulge information which may impact the stock price. Okay, right now work shift required. Do you need this? Does this job profile need shifts? If yes, you can put it. Is it a public job? Public job meaning that the information about this job profile is visible to everybody in the work. This I mean in this particular tenant. So any worker will be able to go into the job profile and view all the information. If that is the case, you can click on public job. Right, but we will not put it as public job. We will just leave it as blank now. Period type. Now we have included, remember, we have included two countries here, US and UK. Okay. So what is the period? A period type. Sorry that you are going to use. Are you going to use salaried or is it going to be hourly? Okay, so this are most likely a CEO is going to be a salaried worker, right? It's not going to be an hourly worker. So we will say it is a salaried, and for United Kingdom also we will say salaried. Right for the salaried employees, okay. Now characteristics, a difficulty to fill. Here. Also, we can specify whether it is difficult, hard or easy. Let's say this. It's quite difficult to find a good CEO, and it is, of course, a critical job. Right, it's a critical job. Now here we see that we have the option to put in the compensation grade and great profile. We will leave this blank for the time being, once we do compensation. We will come back to our job profile and fill up this information, but as of now I will leave it as black. Union membership. Is this CEO going to be a member of a union? If yes, you may select which union he's going to be a part of here. She is going to be part of now. You might say that, okay, union is not allowed. We do not allow for unions in this particular job profile. You may say that, or it may be optional, right, and it may be required, like for some job profiles. The union membership is absolutely required, especially for blue-collar jobs, especially for jobs which are in the manufacturing sector. Sometimes the union membership is absolutely necessary. So if it is required, you may click on that and then the allowed unions that you have in your organization here, like these, are some of the unions that you may have. So let's say Office and Professional Employees International Union. So this worker is what has to be a part of this particular union. If that is the case, yes, select the union, but in a lot of organizations unions are not allowed. Okay, so you may choose either. Then we talk about job exempt. What is the job exempt? Anybody familiar with this term? Job exempt overtime, yes. So these are salaried employees, and you do not qualify for overtime. Okay, an exempt job does not qualify for overtime. If you're not eligible for overtime, okay, this is a US concept. So in other countries it may be different. You may be salaried employee, but if you work for extra hours you may be eligible for overtime in some other countries, but in the US, if it is a job exempt, then you do not qualify for overtime. Okay. So now let's go up, and here are some other things as well. Now job classification in certain countries like US, UK, Australia, and even in Switzerland, Sweden, Germany, there are from the Department of Labor. As for their government, they have exact job classifications for each and every paid kind of job. Right, if it can be a CEO, it can be a manager. It can be like a technician. For each and every kind of job, there is a job classification, right? And sometimes the P is dependent on the job classification. Okay. So if for those particular countries, if you have a job classification already, then you may use that, right? You may specify that as part of the job profile. So now let's say I will use something like this, 1.2. So you see here, 1.2 is for the United States of America. It says first or mid-level officials and managers United States, EEO, US of America. So this is a job classification. This is as per the country. Okay. So if you already have this job classification, mention it. Not all jobs have classifications, but if you have it, yes, you must specify it here.